tuning in. Today we have Chad. He's going to teach us all the steps on to do your own drywall project. So we're not going to waste any time. Watch what Chad does. He's a professional. He does it every day. And you might have to watch the video twice because he's going to talk fairly fast and there's a lot of information just pounded out in this short video. So without further ado, here's Chad, and thanks for watching, guys.
Hi there. We're going to do a quick session here on drywall taping. First thing you want to do is check out your drywall. I'll explain these are butt joints. These are your flats. These are your angles. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure all your screws are sunk tight. Any loose paper broken out, cleaned up. And then the first step would be the confill, refill. What you do with this, you add a little bit to your pan. You can fill your pan up if you want, depends on how bad the drywall is. Get some water and mix it up. You want it fairly thick because it will shrink back. What we're doing here is just tightening up all the gaps before we put our tapes on. Alright, now that this is mixed up, your butt joint here, if it's got a gap in it, this one, as you can see, is fairly tight. But if it's got a gap in it, we'll just pre-fill it all the way up to your bevel. The bevel is your flat. It is actually beveled out, hollowed, and when you put your tape on it and wipe it tight, it is actually sunken inside the drywall. Dug that out of the corner there. You need to pre-fill that. Nothing cracks down the road. Usually anything over a quarter inch needs to be pre-filled. Okay, now that everything's pre-filled, we're going to actually spin up a pail of mud here. And when spinning up a pail of mud, you might keep your mud fairly fluid, so it actually rolls underneath your tape. Get in there and open up your box. Go down. This is the drywall wet. Now I like to spin it before I put water in. Then add roughly 1 sponge of water for now. And then play with it and check it. Seems a little thick still. I will add 1 more sponge of water. I usually find 2 full sponges to 1 box of mud. Works good for me. There you have it. You have your mud spun up. Alright, now, when starting to tape, you want to start with your butt joints. Your butt joints, and then your flats, your bevels. Your bevel will actually overlap your butt joint tape. And then last of all, you do your angles. So for that, we take some mud, put it in our pan, drywall tape. Now, same as pre-filling, you butter up your joint, top to bottom. Flatten it out a little bit. Throw your tape on it, make sure it is on your joint. Now I usually start with the middle. Hold your tape. Then you want one nice firm wipe. And you just clean off the excess. Try not to push too hard and wipe all your mud out from behind it or you'll end up with blisters. And a blister is a dry spot underneath your tape when you start coating. There you go. There's your butt joint. Now I will do this other one, exact same. Spread her up the joint. Apply your tape. Start the middle. One more. Flip your knife around and kind of squeeze it out. And just clean off your access. Finish your wipe. And there you have it. 2 butt joints done. Your next step would be your bevel. Like I said, you would like your tape, it should overlap your butt joint. Same thing. You're in there. Apply mud to your entire flat or bevel. And same thing. Make sure your tape is into the center of your bevel on your joint. Give it a light wipe so it stays in place. And once again, same thing, start in the middle. I usually pin the tape so it doesn't take off on you. Clean off your axis. Come back this way. Two butt joints and a flat, all tied in. Now as you can see, the 2 butts are done, the bevels or the flats are done. Your last step for the cage would be your angle. Angles, use a 4-inch knife, what I like to use. Just butter up both sides of the angle, from top to bottom. Mud is applied. I'll take the tape, and if you look at your tape closely, it actually has a crease in the center of it. Fold it over in the crease, and run out enough for your angle. Then you go tight to the ceiling all the way down to the floor. Bring your fingers there, make sure there's actually an angle. Start on one side and give it a wipe. Other side. Finish it off. Once you get near the top, you can actually flip the knife around, same way I did with the butt joint, and lightly squeeze it out. And then just clean it up. As you see now, my angle is actually overlapping my bevel. What I'm doing here is I'm just finishing off this so we can put our corner bead on. You want all your tapes on before you start your bead. Alright, now to install corner bead, this is your regular standard square corner bead. This is a 10-foot bead. I think it is about 8.5 feet. You just take the tape measure, and we have 102.5 inches. So I allow 1/2 inch at the bottom for flooring and house movement. So we'll go 102. On your 102. Set of snips, standard Stanley snips. Clip the paper at 102. That's your bead length. And dry fit it first. The reason I like to dry fit it first is because if you get it all mudded up and it's cut wrong, it gets a little messy. So now that that's cut, we will install the bead. I take my 6-inch knife, make sure the corner is all free of paper, loose paper, and debris. Yes, make sure your board is not overhanging on the corner because your bead will not set square. So if it is a little long, you might have to take a utility knife and cut it back. Once that is done, apply mud. When you're doing tapes and bead, you like to use this yellow pail here. This is actually a taping mud and has glues in it and sets up really, really hard. When it comes to coating, it'll be either a blue box or a green box, and it doesn't have any glue in it. It's a little easier to sand, and yeah, that's the reason for the taping mud for your beads. Make sure you get mud everywhere so you don't have any dry spots. Once you just start at the bottom, always applying pressure upwards because it will tend to slide down on us sometimes. And square it off. Give it a light wipe. Pull it to the ceiling. Make sure it is square. Alright, once it is wiped, I take my 6-inch knife and I check it, both sides. You should be able to see daylight on both sides, so when you coat it, it actually fills. You can see the daylight in between the blade of my knife and the bead on both sides. That is what you're looking for, and to make sure your bead is square. Once you see that, I give it a final wipe. Alright, I just want to show you a little trick here that I use for after I'm done, my beads are set and they're on. When you have a closet or a walkway opening like this, when you get your beads set, I always like to take a little bit of mud when I'm done. Right where your intersection is there, right where your beads join together, take your edge off and kind of float it a little bit. Clean up your corners. There you go. The reason I do that is for when it comes time to coat these beads, same thing, I apply my mud, get your application on, important application, cut your edges, and then when it comes time to pull that, you don't get the old ratchet because that corner is all sunken in and where it's joined up, right? This makes a nice smooth transition, so when I pull, smooth. After all my tapes are done, like I say, I start with my butts, flats, all my angles, and then I do all my beads. Once all my beads are in place, it's good to let it set up overnight, dry. And for when you start coating, like I say, you'll need either an all-purpose blue box of mud or else a green, which has no glue in it at all. It's just easier sanding. And when it comes time to coating, I do things the same way. I coat my butts first, then my beads, and then I coat all my flats into my beads and across my butts. So there's a ton of great information in there. That's, like Chad said, let this sit overnight, let that dry, let the mud kind of suck the tapes in, let the glue set up. One thing I did want to point out, this is an ICF house, so if you're wondering why our screws are so far away, is that these are the snap ties in our ICF wall. And then what we did is when we installed the board, we used a special glue and glued right up tight to the butt joints. So that these butt joints won't flex, plus we're only 4 inches away to our butt joint. So just keep that in mind, it's a little different than what you'd actually see in a stud frame house. We'll let this set up, we'll let Chad get everything caught up, and then we'll start showing you how to do the coating.
That's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or check us out on some of the following.